Well, how about you take a seat and give it up for our band as they take their seat as well. I am going to be preaching the final part of Inside Out. And I'm just excited to do this tonight. I just pray that why I'm preaching this, that God speaks to everyone in this place. And I do want to welcome our online viewers, those that are watching wherever you are in the world. We just want to say you are just as involved as you are if you were sitting here. But tonight I'm going to be doing part 8, the final chapter of this series. And I don't know about you, but who's been enjoying this so far? I know that from my own life, I've gotten a lot out of it and what God's been speaking to us about. But I want to pick up this story tonight of this amazing story found in John. And so let me read it with you and let's break it down. So it says here, now there was a man named Lazarus who was sick. And he was from Bethany, the village of Mary and his sister Martha. So the Bible starts to start this foundation of this message off with where there's a guy named Lazarus, he's sick, and his sisters are aware of this. In verse 2, the scriptures say that Mary, whose brother Lazarus, that was the one that was sick, was the same Mary who poured perfume on the Lord's feet and wiped him with her hair. So the Bible, and I won't get into tonight because I just want to get some context. This is a lady or a family of people. There was 2 sisters and a brother that have actually had an encounter with Jesus before. They had run into Jesus, and the Bible was just clarifying that, hey, in another story, these guys actually had met Jesus before. And so they had some sort of history with Jesus. But because their brother had become sick, because Lazarus had fallen sick, the girls decided we've got to get out to Jesus. We've got to get Jesus' attention. We've got to reach out to Jesus. So it says here in verse 3, the sisters sent a letter to Jesus, and this is what the letter said. It said, Lord, the one you love is sick. Now there's more to this part of the story, and it continues on, and we can get into it another time. But I wanted to jump back to 32 in John, and I want to create this scripture as the foundation of the final piece of this series, Inside Out. And so we see here that Mary, continue on 32, it says, when Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would have not died. So there's this gap between where Lazarus had gotten sick. They had reached out to Jesus. They sent a letter, said, hey, like Jesus, Lord, the guy that you love is sick. By the time Jesus gets there, he's dead. And they're saying, come on, if you were here earlier, if you were here prior, then he wouldn't have been dead. But in verse 33, it starts a change in this concept. This is what I want to talk to you about tonight, where Jesus, it says in 33, when Jesus saw her weeping, saw her sad, saw her insides crying out. And the people she was with, it says here, the Jews she was with were also crying and weeping. It says in the Bible that Jesus himself was deeply moved and his spirit was troubled. And Jesus speaking in verse 34, he says here, where have you laid him, he asked. And they said, come see, Lord, they replied. And in verse 35, the story starts to unravel a little bit of the heart of the God that we are talking about, the God that we are serving. It says in verse 35, Jesus wept. And 36, the Jews said, look, see, even Jesus is upset about it. Even Jesus feels the pain. Even Jesus is sad about this. See how much he loved him, which he's talking about Lazarus. And in verse 37, some of the Jews even said, hang on a minute. If this is the same Jesus, I know he's sad and all that, but this isn't the same guy that could let people see again, so couldn't he have stopped this guy from dying? And so there was this moment of where that there was a desperation in someone's life, a few people. I don't know if anyone can relate that tonight, but I know that sometimes in my life there's been this desperation for love or someone to care or someone to understand me, and I haven't found it. I haven't been able to earn it. I haven't been able to get it. And this family was in this situation, like many of us tonight, many of us online, where some things just happen. Some things go wrong. Some things happen around us. And I wanted to just talk about my first point tonight, just to start the premise of this. That the outside of our lives, the way we live our life, whether you're a Christian, whether you believe, whether you don't, the outside mess of our life, whether it's clean or it's messy or we're well behaved or we're not well behaved, the reality is nothing you can do will earn God's love on your life. Nothing. You can't earn it. You can't buy it. You can't go out of your way to go, God, look at me, I'm really awesome. Or maybe some people in this room are like, well, I'm not that awesome, but I've got to do something to get God's attention. Nothing you do can earn God's love. Nothing you do can earn it from Him. And I believe this because God doesn't focus on the outside of our lives, but He looks at the inside of our hearts. And so the biggest mistake we can ever make, if I'm going to bring this series home, if I'm going to talk to Christians and non-believers, is that nothing you do can earn God's love. It doesn't matter what you do on Sunday. It doesn't matter what you've done this week. It doesn't matter if you're a full-time sinner or a full-time Christian or a full-time bad guy or good guy. The reality is God's never focused on the outside of your life. He is only focused on one thing, and that's the inside of your heart. And so sometimes we make the biggest mistake. We think we have to earn God's love. It's in what I do that gets God's love. Sometimes and this is a hard one, but sometimes we feel like we have to earn His mercy. A lot of sinners feel like I have to do. I was talking to someone last week. They said, I'm going to bring my friend to church, but they said they have to get stuff together before they turn up because the place will catch on fire. They feel like they have to earn His mercy. We have to earn His grace. We have to earn His empathy. And so we do things on the outside that God's not even looking at. You know, maybe if some of us tonight, I don't know if anyone online that relates to this or even in this place, maybe you feel like you're unworthy for His attention. Or maybe you're not worth His time. But I want to just point something out to you, and I'm going to tell you what Mary and Martha knew that I think we should understand. They knew this wasn't the case. See, they didn't write a letter saying, Jesus, we beg of you to come save our brother Lazarus. Jesus, we will do anything for this. Jesus, we'll do anything to impress you. We'll do anything to get your attention. We'll do anything to convince you on the outside that you need to save our sick brother. They wrote one simple letter, and this is what it said. I'll read it again to you. Lord, the one you love is sick. They didn't have to earn it. They just had to own it. And tonight, I want to say this tonight, it doesn't matter if you believe or not, you don't have to earn the love of God, you just have to own the love of God and say tonight, whether I believe or I don't, God, I accept that you love me. You don't have to earn it, you just have to own it. This is good news if you might be coming in and go, well, I'm not like these Christians, I haven't read my Bible this week, I don't understand. You don't have to earn it, you just have to own it. And tonight you could be the first time you've ever heard about the gospel. You've heard it 1,000,000 times and you feel like you can't get the attention of God. God never said you could earn His love, but He said you could own it. And all you have to do is say, God, tonight, no matter if the outside looks rubbish, no matter if the outside's messy, no matter if it's gone wrong, I will own that you love me so much. For God said, and Mary and Martha knew this, they said this to Jesus, the one you love is sick, not the one we love. Not the one that we should love. Hey, Jesus, the one you love. They knew they didn't have to earn it. They were simply owning it. And this is hard because when we do this outside-inside concept, humans, the world we live in, we're being conditioned to think we have to earn people's love. I mean, a lot of us have broken relationships. A lot of us have had fallouts with our parents and things that have happened. A lot of us have mess, and it's to do with other people. And so we feel like we have to earn the love of others. We have to earn the respect from others. We have to earn this approval from others. It's conditioned us. We do it on social media. We spend our whole lives trying to show the world, like, I'm trying to earn your respect. I'm trying to earn that I'm doing well. But the reality is, that's human. God, He says you don't have to earn it. You don't have to earn my love. You just have to own it. And there's a big difference. All of a sudden you feel like, well, I can come into the presence of God. I want to speak to someone tonight. I can come into the presence of God and I can bring my mess and I can bring my mistakes, and the outside might look all messed up, but I don't have to earn his love. I just have to own his love. And tonight, no matter how messy it looks, you can stand before God and he's going to give you love. He's going to give you grace. Some of you in this place tonight might have felt like you have to earn his love. We have to impress him sometimes. As if everyone can see me worshiping on Sunday. As if everyone can see me being nice. As if everyone can see me being a Christian. And we're fueled by this earning love on the outside. But God's so in love with your heart and your inside, your soul, your being, you as a person, that he doesn't want you to earn it. He just wants you to own it. Christians or non-believers or believers tonight, trust me when I say this, don't earn his love, own it. Wake up every day and say, God, the one you love is down. The one you love is hurt. The one you love is missed the mark. The one you love on the outside that has it all messed up is waiting for you. It means the new Christian, the new person, the old person can come into this place and accept his love. Mary and Martha knew this because they knew that they didn't have to beg Jesus to turn up. They didn't have to convince Jesus to turn up. They didn't have to do anything for Jesus to turn up. They just said, the one you love. Verse 3, I'll read it again. Lord, hello. God came to earth in the form of flesh, human, Jesus. She's talking to God as well. It's not just Jesus. God, the whole Trinity. Lord, listen to me. The one you love is sick. Not even the one we love, which I just found so fascinating. You know, speaking of sickness, this week has been a really crazy week for us. We've had a lot of, what's it called? Nesting? We nest a lot. We've been nesting. And we had a bunch of stuff on. We've been trying to do church projects and house inspections and a bunch of stuff, getting ready for the... I shouldn't even bother telling this story. I'm just trying to justify why I was at Macca's 5 nights in a row this week. I was like, should I build up to this or should I just, I spent a lot of time in the McDonald's drive-thru this week, if I'm going to be honest with you. Just a lot of late nights. I'm coming home and I'm finding myself in the car park at Macca's. And the interesting thing is about that, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but Macca's takes pride in themselves being fast, like fast food. But the whole system's rigged. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed this, but you get to the drive-thru and they say, go to the next window, get your food. And because they got little beepers and systems, and I'm sure people whacking them with a stick to get the job done, they just put you in park for half an hour. So on their systems, it's like these guys are getting served really quick. But you're in that car park wasting time for cold food. And I'm not going to rat on Macca's because Lachlan did a good job of that a couple of weeks ago. But I was in the McDonald's car park this week, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, come on, hurry up. So I'm looking around, I'm pondering, I'm thinking about life. It's pretty late at night. And I see this four-wheel drive parked in front of me. It's just some people hanging out eating. And I'm just watching, and all of a sudden they wind their window down, and they just throw a bag of rubbish out the window. And I was like, oh my gosh, they just littered. There's rubbish on the ground. And I'm like, remember what you've been preaching. Don't judge. You don't understand. I'm like, they just threw rubbish anyway. So I'll just watch them. And then all of a sudden, I think they got caught or something. I don't know what happened. But they got out of the car and the lady kind of looked around and then picked up the rubbish. And they were parked in front of a garden. And so she goes around the front of her car and then she comes back empty-handed. And me being the awesome, amazing Christian man of God, I said, you know what? I'm going to go over there and pick up that rubbish. And so I'm like, man, if they're going to throw it on the ground, I'm going to go over there and pick it up. So I got my food eventually 45 minutes later. And I was already cold anyway, so who cares if I'm doing the Lord's work, picking up rubbish. I drive around to park next to them. And as I pull into the car spot, and they're kind of looking at me because there's 100 car spots free, but I park next to them. I realized that there was a bin in front of their car. But I couldn't see the bin. So this whole time I'm sitting there going, they littered, and I'm a Christian, and I'm a man of God, and God, I'm doing your work tonight. I'm going to put that rubbish in the bin. And then I pull around the corner, and there's a bin right there. And they're looking at me like, why'd you park next to us? I said, 20 parks. And I went, never mind. And I reversed out and went home. And I was driving home, and I was like God was just speaking to me. He reminded me that perspective is everything. Like, perspective is every part important of someone's journey. We've talked about this the last couple of weeks. But the thing that God showed me in that story is that sometimes a lot of us will never get that perspective of other people's lives. Some of us will never understand what happened. We will never understand the full magnitude of people that walk in these doors. We will never understand on the outside, because even though perspective matters, not all the time will we get perspective on people's lives. And this is such an outside thing. Like, I'm sitting there judging. No, I wasn't judging, but I was fighting the urge to judge these people. Because from my perspective, they littered. And here's what I want to just say tonight. This goes both ways. You either don't understand people's pain or their intentions, or you think people will never understand your pain or your intentions. And see, the thing is, a lot of us, including myself, we will hide our hurts and bury them and put them away, because we know deep down on the inside, no one could understand this. No one could comprehend the pain I'm in. No one could really understand what happened when I was younger. No one could really wrap their... And I know I'm Pastor hat off for a second. In church, we always say, hey, just be vulnerable. But we know deep down that if we told the church or we told the pastor, he wouldn't always understand. And this hit me tonight because I was thinking about, I'm like, that is so true. Like, we have a culture, it's like, be vulnerable, wear your problems on your sleeve, tell everyone on the outside and you'll get healing on the inside. But the reality is that most people in this room would never understand your journey. They would never understand your story to its full capacity. They would never understand the hurt, because the reality is none of us in this room have the perspective of the real life you've lived. We know moments of the outside. We could never understand the inside. And a lot of us don't have the privilege of the perspective of your life. Now you're probably thinking, well, you're anti-church right now. I'm not anti-church. I just know that a lot of us, new Christians, people that have been here for a long time, they know they have hurts. They know they have pain. And they will never bring that to the surface, because no one on the outside could ever understand that. And so I want to bring it back to Jesus, because the reality is, you're right. Not everyone will ever understand what you've been through. Not everyone will understand your hardships. Not everyone would understand your story. But I do know someone that might. Yeah. And in John 11:33, it says here, when Jesus saw them weeping, when he saw them sad, when he saw that they were upset, and the Jews had come along and they also were weeping, him himself, Jesus Christ, was deeply moved in his spirit, and he's troubled. And it says here in 11:35 again, Jesus wept. And you're probably like, I don't get it, Sam. I don't understand what you're trying to... Let me just tell you what, this really challenged me. Jesus wept. This is the King of Kings. This is the Lord of Lords. This is the guy that we preach about, that knows everything, knows absolutely everything, knows how to fix things, how to change things. He is the God of the universe. He's the God that holds all the power in the world. Yet in this moment, he wept for the pain of his people. I want you to think about this for a second. You're trying to find sympathy and empathy from other people. Jesus himself displayed this, that he could have changed it, he could have fixed it, he could have rearranged it. But in that moment, he displayed helplessness as he wept with those in pain. Even Jesus displayed some sort of misunderstanding. He wasn't the God that came in and went, well, this is part of God's plan. Or this is what's going to happen. Or this is how it's going to roll. I understand. He wept with his people. He felt their pain. And I want to say this tonight, that anyone, you might feel misunderstood. You might not feel like anyone understands. You might not think that anyone can understand or comprehend your story. But Jesus does. He's not above you and he's not beyond you. He is with you and he is for you, and he dwells in the broken place. You might think that Jesus is above me or is beyond me, but can I say tonight that he weeps when you weep. He's down when you're down. He's hurt when you're hurt. And he's not some God that watches from a distance saying, I don't really understand this. He steps into the moment and says, I weep with you. I feel your pain, Hard House. I feel your pain, lost person. I feel your pain, those that don't believe. The God of the universe. The guy that could have spent, oh, don't worry about it, guys. It's going to be all better. I can fix this later. I can change this now. No, he didn't come in arrogance. He came in a softness and said, I weep with my people. Tonight you need to know this, that maybe no one in your life understands your life. Maybe no one understands the hurt. Maybe no one understands the brokenness on the inside, and you're covering it up with the outside. But can I say right now, Jesus understands. He feels your pain. He knows your pain, and he's walking with you. And you might have hope tonight that you felt that I'll just hide the inside and no one will tell on the outside. For Jesus doesn't have to do that. He feels your pain. The outside of your life might look different to how you feel on the inside. And that's okay. We put up walls and we put up things to stop people feeling or seeing the real hurt because they would never understand. And that's okay. And you're right. Sometimes I don't even understand. Sometimes the people next to you don't understand. Sometimes people that have never, met God before don't understand. But Jesus certainly understands. He wept with the people in pain because he knew what it felt like. The last thing I want to do before I close out this series is talk about what I figured out, how the inside out works. And the reality is, and I don't know if this is a testimony of my life or just the revelation God gave me or things I've experienced myself, but pressure on the inside, our hearts, really is the reason why we cause pain on the outside, our actions. You know what I found fascinating about this verse is that Mary and Martha had messaged Jesus. And they said, hey, the one you love, not the one we love, the one you love is sick. And so Jesus eventually makes his way there. I've just read the story. And instead of just going, it will be all right, he steps into the moment with them. And he weeps. And he feels the pain and he has empathy for the children that are suffering, you and I. But then something unusual happens because we know that's a beautiful part of the story. But here's the reality. In John 11:32, it says when Mary reached the place where Jesus was, she fell at Jesus' feet. Like she fell because her pain was overbearing. She fell at Jesus' feet. And this is a very hard-hitting comment she made, and I'm going to read to you. And she said this, Lord, if you had been here, like God, Jesus, if you had already showed up, if you already made some effort to be here, if you had already been here, then my brother would not be dead. It's the first thing she said to Jesus. And so when the pressure came on her life, when she had lost her brother, when things had gone wrong, the pain started to ooze out. It started to become, the inside pain became the outside hurt. She was hurt because she had lost her brother. She was hurt because something went wrong. And when Jesus finally got there, her first comment was, if you had already been here, if you had already showed up, God, then my brother would have been alive. And so pressure on the inside causes the pain on the outside. When life brings you pressure, when things go wrong, when things they break, or you have sickness, when you have trials and when you have hurts, when you have disappointments, we all have these. These are the things that put pressure on the inside that cause us to erupt on the outside. Like, I don't think anyone ever woke up and went, I'm going to ruin someone's day today. People go, we want a peaceful world. God loves everyone. We're going to figure this out. But people hurt. We've talked about this for the last. People do stuff and we're like, why are they doing that? Why are they hurting people? Why is this going wrong? Because inside pressure causes outside hurt. And these things cause the outside to erupt. And this is what happens. This is why the inside out is so important. We start to hurt the people around us because of the pressures of life. Our wife will cop it. Our family cops it. Our friends cop it. Sometimes our pastor cops it and he probably deserves to cop it. Sometimes our neighbors cop it and they deserve to get it too. They cut their lawn across our gap or whatever it is. I'm not saying that happened to me. I'm just saying this is a story I thought of. But even times God cops it. Like, how many times have you gone, God, what the heck are you doing? Like, if you had been here, like, I'm good with you, God, on the inside, but when the outside gets messy and when it gets hard and when it gets tough, I'm like, God, where are you? My inside starts to spill out. God will cop it. Because when life brings pressure on the inside, the outside projects public pain. And to be honest with you, let's just be honest, all of us want to find someone or something to blame. I've seen it my whole life, in church, outside of church. I talk to people all the time, and it's like, well, this is so-and-so's fault. I'm like this because of them. I'm depressed because of what they did. And we're stuck in this hurt because we want to blame and we want to shame. And sometimes we even go, God, why did sickness happen to me? We whatever pressure comes on the inside, it projects on the outside. And sometimes we just want to blame something or someone. And Mary did this. Jesus has gone out of her way. And many of you have probably gone out of your way for someone and they've ripped you off, hurt you, betrayed you, done something wrong by you. And that pressure causes you to react. And when Jesus gets there, she just says, if you turned up earlier, if you were actually there for me, poor me, if you were here for me, then my brother would still be alive. Because the pressure was immense. So let me read you this verse. This is how we're going to close this series. I want you to listen to this. And this is the highlight of this series. We talked about the inside out. In Proverbs 4:23, you'll find this verse, and it says here, above all else, like above everything else, above everything you've seen, above everything you know, above everything you've heard or done or been a part of, above all this, you have to guard your heart. This is an inside thing. This isn't God saying, hey, above all this, be better behaved. Above all this, do this. He says, above everything else, you have to guard the inside so the outside doesn't erupt. Guard your heart. For everything you do flows from it. Not some things you do. But we're talking about the inside out here. Everything starts from the inside. You know why I'm okay with the most messiest and broken and who cares what it looks like on the outside lives walking in here? Because I know that everything flows from the heart. And so if someone's moving in the right direction to find God, then that's a good day for our church. Because as long as they're making the step forward, their heart is guarded. Guard your heart on the inside so the outside doesn't erupt. And I want to say this tonight. This isn't a judgmental message. This is a healing message. I know there's people online, you can't even get to church anymore because you're hurt and someone did something and someone broke you, and we have all these excuses. Maybe God let you down. Maybe tonight you feel like God's let you down. And God knew this was going to happen. Jesus is not It wasn't like, oh, we're victims of this. Jesus himself was a victim of this. Hey, if you had showed up. But the Bible also teaches us to guard our hearts. To set ourselves free from the pain of others, to set ourselves free. I feel sorry for people now. I've preached about this for the last couple of weeks that are depressed and they're broken and they say it's because of my dad, it's because of this person. I feel sorry for them. I feel bad for them because that person is not the reason why they're in that place. They might have pushed them there, but they have the guard your heart mentality. They move out of this and the inside starts to change the outside. Jesus starts to bring healing on the outside. People start to drop their depression on the outside because the inside's been guarded. And so this whole thing's the inside out. It's the heart before the behavior. We've been saying this. It's the heart before the behavior. It's the chasing after Him before the challenges of life. People think that the challenges of life is like, well, then I'll chase after God because, we only pray when we're in trouble. But the inside out is I chase Him before the challenge comes. My heart changed before the behavior comes. This is my favorite one. I will be, even if no one sees it. That's the inside out. That's what the inside out looks like. I will be this person, regardless of the issues of my life, regardless of the pain of my life. I will be before anyone else sees, because it's the inside out. And as the band comes, it's always the inside out. And so we've got to guard our hearts. We talked about pain, we've talked about disappointment, we've talked about depression, we've talked about all these things the last 8 weeks. But it comes down to this. Not this so anyone can boast, not this because we're great, not this because our church is awesome, not this because I'm great, but because He is great. And so I guard my heart and I know that He loves me and I know that it's good and I know that I can forgive and I know that I can move on. And so as you stand tonight, I want to encourage you with this. The inside out. Stay soft. Stay soft. Stay soft in your heart. Keep compassion. Even if we aren't able to show compassion because we're so broken, keep compassion on the heart. Stay in grace for others. This is a big one. This is a big one. Even though you might not talk to that person anymore, you might have had problems with someone else, just keep grace for others in your heart. Guard your heart. Walk in love. Everywhere you do and everything you've done, do it with love. Guard your heart. And in this process and in this progress, the healing will start on the inside of your life. And that, my friends, is when the outside starts to change. It's the inside out. That's why the mess can turn up to the church. That's why the broken can walk in the doors. That's why you have forgiveness and you have grace, and why God loves you so much and you don't have to earn it, because you don't have to do anything to impress Him. He's focused on winning this before this even changes. It's the inside out. People feel like they have to earn God's love. No, you just have to own it. You just have to say, God, I'm so glad that you love me in my mess and in my pity and in my brokenness. And I pray right now, God, you guard my heart, because it's the inside that erupts the outside. Not one person in this world. You think of your worst enemy. You think of anyone that's done wrong by you or you've done wrong by others. You didn't wake up planning that. You didn't wake up and go, I can't wait to destroy someone's life or destroy my own. The pressure of life came on you, and the problems of life came on you, and things went wrong. And in that, the inside started to flow into the outside. And we started to break down relationships and hurt people and say nasty things and talk behind their backs, and all this stuff happened. It all starts from the inside. And so, God, I pray tonight, as we close this series, that you remind us of the pursuit you're on for the inside of our lives. That I'm not just trying to be good when people see God, but I'm good when no one's around. I have mercy when no one can see. I forgive when no one can hear. I pursue after you even if life's messy. It's the inside God that goes before me. And I pray for this over our church and those that are fallen away from you. They know they can come back because you're not focused on the outside, God. You're fascinated of us on the inside. In Jesus' name.